We have 900 members now in around 155 jurisdictions, 75 practice areas, of course offering niche expertise. It's all boutiques, it's all mid-sized firms, so all firms are operating in the mid-market, so that's all you guys. The numbers have kept fairly consistent over the last couple of years, maybe grown just slightly, but of course we're always looking at the quality rather than the numbers themselves. In terms of the other statistics, we get around 45,000 web hits per month, over 4 minutes user time for it. So each person that's actually visiting the site, they're actually spending over 4 minutes viewing your pages, looking up for advisors, reviewing IR. That's actually a long time that people are spending on the website. Over 40,000 social media followers. So if you're not engaged with social media, you should be. It's very important, particularly in terms of entrepreneurs, millennials. That's how they're making a judgment about you in many respects. For our legal friends, we have over 170 Chambers-ranked firms. Now, Chambers isn't everything, of course, but it is an indication that the industry recognises, and that's actually more members from Chambers than any other group, any other network in the world. So, yeah, it's particularly important. In terms of how the group is split up, it's a fairly even split. We have about just under 25%, just over 25% in the USA, and 33% in Europe, 20% in Asia Pacific, 9% in Latin America, and 10% in the Middle East and Africa as well. So it's a fairly even split. That's a lot of it is, of course, in mature markets, but also emerging markets as well. So that's the current statistics where we are. I mentioned that we have 900 members, and I think particularly for boutiques and mid-sized firms, you really want to be demonstrating that to your clients because, of course, they recognise and understand that you can help them in your own jurisdiction, but you do also want to highlight the fact that you are part of a bigger community, that there is lawyers, accountants, finance professionals around the world. So if you haven't already got our logo on your website, please consider it, and also with a write-up as well, because a logo just on its own doesn't necessarily mean anything. Also, a lot of you have specific web pages dedicated to IR. If you're part of other groups, you may want to consider that as well. But certainly, it is important that if you have IR on your website, it makes you more attractive not only to your existing clients, but also to potential clients as well. Because when they are searching for you, when they are going to the website, you want them to be able to understand that you are part of a bigger community. So in terms for the new members and also for our existing guys who've been to events before, the conferences are important, and we're very grateful and that you're all here. But the membership isn't just about that. It's about staying engaged with us all year round. So what I mean by that is if we can help you with your travel plans, you know we have an interactive travel calendar in the private members area. If you are going to another city, if you are going to another conference and you have some spare time, maybe 2 or 3 hours before a flight or between a meeting, if you can go to another IR member's offices for a meeting, that is really, really powerful because, of course, if you can spend 15 minutes, half an hour, a coffee, an introduction with them, you get to learn about their business. They also get to learn about yours. And of course, this is an old-fashioned business in many respects. If people want to do business with people that they know, people that they like, and people that they trust, the best way of doing that is, to meet people face to face. And if you can do that, that works really, really well. Also, we want to be publishing your news as well. So if you have any articles to share, if you have any papers, any success stories, please share them with your client manager. The client manager will publish it on your behalf, and it will also go to all of our social media followers. And these people are the ones that are reviewing your information. Of course, it increases your exposure and makes people more aware about your skills and your expertise. So, of course, we want to stay in touch with people. I would suggest that you appoint an IR person as your dedicated contact within IR. I wouldn't necessarily make it yourself because you're all partner level in your firms, you're all senior. Your IR membership isn't necessarily your number one priority. Of course, your clients are, and sometimes, even with the best intentions, you don't dedicate as much time to IR as you would like. If it was somebody else's responsibility, an associate, an assistant, maybe a marketing person, if we can stay engaged with them and speak to them once a month, once every 2 to 3 months, then really that's what we're looking to achieve, because that works really, really well for you. So yeah, stay engaged with us. Tell us about what your plans are, what you're doing, and yeah, that'll certainly help you make the most of your membership with us. What we tried to do, particularly in the last 12 months, is really try and take IR to the market. We took the decision a while ago that we wanted to increase our exposure, that we wanted to reach out to other conferences, other organisations, so we could demonstrate to them what our capabilities are. Last summer, we went to, with our M&A committee, we were in London for their GCC event, so we got to speak to around 100 in-house counsel from some of UK's and Europe's leading associations. Very, very powerful. We also went to Expo Real, which is the leading trade fair and finance fair within Europe. That was last autumn in Munich. Some of the guys are in the room here. It was a huge show, 40,000 delegates. We had our own stand there. We had our own panel discussion, and we got to meet hundreds and hundreds of people so we could talk about IR and our members and our expertise. Now, of course, trying to put on a corporate stand in a large conference such as that, as I'm sure you're all aware, for boutiques, for mid-sized firms, it's very, very difficult because the costs are quite prohibitive. But by coming together, and there was 8 IR members, we came together as a team, as a delegation, we split the cost between us. IR, of course, with our event expertise, we were able to put the organisation together, and it worked really, really well. It was something that we're certainly considering again, and we're talking to members now about how we do that this year. There may be other trade shows, there may be other conferences that we want to attend. Also, one of the good things that we have done in the last 6 months is set up a series of regional meetings. So I think it was last November, we had a conference, a meeting in Australia with our Australian members, and also around the same time with our Swiss members as well. And the idea is that they are able to collaborate, they get together at a member's office, they can talk about how they can work together, joint pitches, marketing documents. And I think really we understand, particularly as boutiques and mid-sized firms, that we're not an expert in all fields. So if you are able to identify your strengths and your weaknesses, and you can work together with other people in the same jurisdiction, again, that's a really, really powerful tool and something that works really, really well. And we know that within particular jurisdictions, where somebody is in a specific boutique, where they are maybe an IP specialist or an employment law specialist, you're then able to connect with other firms who don't have that particular expertise in their own firm. And of course, it's particularly powerful when the lawyers are talking to the accountants and the accountants are talking to the lawyers. So it's something that's worked very, very well. And one of the events that we do have planned for next month actually, is our Middle East and North Africa meeting. And Wissam, where are you? Yeah, Wissam, if you just wouldn't mind standing for just 1 minute to tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, thank you. We're actually hosting this year a first regional event for Middle East and North Africa. It's a very small event. We kept it small on purpose so that we give a chance for much discussion and about processing, about potential deals that can happen between GCC, Gulf countries, North Africa, the Levant, and some parts of Europe. We already have about 11 people confirmed coming. We're very much looking forward to it. It's going to be actually in this month, not next month, Ross, February 23rd and 24th. It's going to be just a 4-hour session and followed by a dinner and an excursion out on the town. and we're going to be visiting the following day one of the, arguably the oldest inhabited city in the world, which is Byblos, and we're going to be having some very nice seafood. So if anyone would like to consider this as a vacation or just to take it off their bucket list of things to do, please feel free to contact me, and I'll be happy to direct you in order to secure your reservation. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Wissam. Yeah, so I mean, our role as IR is, yes, we want to connect you electronically. Yes, we want to connect you at these conferences. But if we're able to then get you together with members from your own jurisdiction, maybe a couple of times a year, again, it's another way that you can connect face-to-face. And we understand that that's really the most important thing. So aside from the Middle East event, we also have our first Latin American conference, which will be at a local Mexican City member. There'll be around 25 delegates directly after the IBA, and yeah, that's something that will work really well. We've got Bosco coming from Spain. Bosco, you're around here? Yeah. So yeah, it's quite a commitment from him. So we're pleased with that, and of course there'll be people from Argentina, Brazil, throughout Latin America. So if you are in a major metropolitan city, or you do see synergies with other firms from your jurisdiction, then please get together with them. Please try and put something together, because we know that these things work well. There's an event in New York as well next month. So it's building all the time. The Swiss guys, the Australian guys have already booked for their second meeting. So we know that that does work really, really well. Later on this year, we'll be having our stand at the IBA, which is in Rome. So for you guys who are attending, come along and say hi. We'll also be, of course, talking to other people who are there to showcase IR skills. Of course, again, trying to increase your exposure. And we're also talking to the ACC and Legal 500 about specific individual events with them as well. So there's an awful lot happening. In terms of some of the other things that we're doing for our own events, later on in May, we will be in Toronto. Now, I know some of you have already booked your tickets. It is pretty much sold out, which is great for us, but there is still a couple of tickets left. Later on, in October, we will be in London to return of our spiritual home. We haven't started selling the tickets yet, but there'll be around 300 tickets that go on sale, so slightly bigger than this event, but yeah, it should be a great experience. And just finally, from me on the numbers, we like the intimate events. We like it when there's 100, 150, 200 people in a room. We're not trying to be the IBA or Inter or one of those organizations that has thousands of delegates, because we know the best way to build relationships is if you can spend some quality time with people over the course of the 2 to 3 days, over a dinner or drinks or during one of the professional sessions. So those are the things that work really, really well. So that's our methodology. We're not going to change, because we know that what we've done over the last 8 years has got us to the place where we are, and we're doing well. So I'm going to pass you over to Tom to tell you a little bit about our plans for the rest of the year.
Thank you, Ross. So I'd like to tell you just a little bit about what's happening behind the scenes and some of the things which we're busy working on. Some of you might have some knowledge of some of these, but the first I'd like to touch upon is our quarterly referral reports. I hope by now each of you have seen at least a couple of these since they launched 5 months ago. The next one will be due out in the next month. I think this has been a really positive thing for the network, showing greater transparency of the cross-border referrals happening. I think it's also been incredibly beneficial to really engage previously dormant members so they can actually see what's happening and the successes many of you are having. So I would just like to remind you and ask, if you are involved in any interesting cases with other members, please do let us know. And of course, this also gives you added visibility, but it does give added value to the network itself. Second of all, I'd like to just touch very briefly on our web and app development. Of course, this is an ongoing process and investment, something which we're increasing our retainer on pretty much month on month, it seems. So at the moment, we're developing quite a few things on the front end. You may have seen the Find an Advisor page has just been redeveloped, and actually your own member profile pages will be redesigned and implemented from early next week. There's a lot more which is going on behind the scenes, the redevelopment of the member forums and the deal platform we have within the members area, but also on the mobile app, where we're looking to make a number of improvements. Connected to this, we also have SEO, search engine optimization. If you're not familiar with the term, very simply put, it's about how high we and how high you appear on Google. So when someone's searching for an advisor in your city, or maybe searching on a particular topic. So our strategy for this year is very much focused on content creation. Many of you will be familiar with the virtual series, the thought leadership pieces we create. And the idea is to work with these topics so when people are searching, whether it be on cryptocurrencies, fintech, on different subjects, the audience are being led to us and actually in turn being led to you as the experts on these matters. Connected to that, we had a point here, ACC. Ross mentioned it briefly, connected to events. If you're not familiar with ACC, that's the Association of Corporate Counsel. The ACC is, in fact, the world's largest in-house counsel organization. They have around 43,000 members worldwide. We're currently in negotiations of different events and different projects with them, as we're very interested in building a close strategic partnership. Unfortunately, this year it didn't quite work due to some conflicts in our schedule, but we are hoping in 2019 rather, to be working with them on their global event and also their European conference. So it'll be a unique opportunity for some of you guys, especially the lawyers, to be able to attend this event, which is not usually accessible to independent law firms. In the meantime, though, we did want to ensure that we are building a presence in advance of this. And the first project in which we're working with is a thought leadership piece on director liabilities. We have, I believe, 20 to 25 members involved in this project, and it will form around about a 50 or 60-page report. This will be distributed in the next month to the full global database with a download link where they have to register their email, so we can also follow up directly with those who are interested in the topic. We're having a few problems with the clicker, I think. Yeah, okay. So supporting these thought leadership pieces and the content creation, we have actually just signed a retainer with one of London's leading PR agencies, Byfield Consultancy, which I know some of our UK members know. Main aim of this, of course, is to build the IR brand profile, build our international presence, for us to reinvest in building the profile. This is, of course, again, going to be an ongoing process, but we actually have seen some immediate results. In the next 3 weeks, you'll see articles with IR Global in Financial Times, in Real Business, and Lawyer 360, I think it is, so which have a combined reach into the many, many millions, which I think is a very positive thing for the network. I think it's also worth noting with this is there's also going to be opportunities for you as individual members, and we've given the agency a remit to also say if they need any expert commentators on particular subject matters, that we can invite you as members to actually contribute. So we actually have a case of this already, Blazer Mills, they are here somewhere, but we had a piece with them very recently in the last couple of weeks where we got them in PM Daily, which is one of the UK's leading employment publications, and they did a piece on sexual harassment in the workplace. Apart from this, we have also just signed up to a global tender service. Ross touched, I think, earlier that one of our strategic goals was to really be more proactive in getting opportunities to you. So rather than just relying on the intergroup referrals, but how can we actually share opportunities with you? And this was a little similar to the Elite Deal platform, which we spoke about earlier. Through this tender service, we're receiving now on a daily basis requests for legal advice and for financial advice. Of course, a lot of it is in the public sector, but it also includes a lot of private work too. I would say, though, if you are involved in the public sector now, do make the effort to come and talk to us, and we can obviously be more proactive in sharing these opportunities. And of course, I know some of you are perhaps more involved in the tender process than others. In addition to this, we have our member mapping. This is something we launched last year, but is a process which is evolving. I'm sure you all saw our annual questionnaire, and one of the questions we ask in there are your key sectors of interest. So the idea behind this is with all of this information we're gathering from everybody in the network, is that we will be able to create a one document which everyone will have access to, so you have very quick access to see where other members in the group have clients. So this could be members who perhaps don't operate in the same practice area, law or accountancy even, but you'll be able to see which clients are working predominantly, whether it be technology or healthcare. So you actually are able to find these synergies and see where there might be more opportunities for cooperation. And finally, I wanted to let you know that this year we did launch a new committee. This committee is about practice management. I think it's fair to say many of you are in the same shoes, so to speak, managing your firms, or at least in management roles, and probably experiencing many of the same problems or challenges, I should say, whether that be about recruiting, retaining, incentivizing, the changes in technology, whether it be even to the point of succession planning. So we formed this committee to try and identify these issues which you're all experiencing, so we can create a sharing platform where you can really benefit and learn from each other's experiences. And connected to this, actually, this is something very new, which isn't on the slide, but something which I think we're putting a lot of our attention on in the next couple of months, or at least my key objective, is how we can really develop the group in getting other members of your firm involved in the network. Of course, we are very much a personal network. It's about the individual. But our feeling is if we can get the support from other members in your team, whether that be at partner level or associate level for referring work or for incentivizing maybe younger members of your team, it's about really trying to offer that added value. So you'll hear a lot more about that over the coming months. On a final note, I'd just like to tell you, hopefully this will click, maybe not. So I want to tell you a bit more about IR Digital. Yeah, it's kind of working. But so IR Digital, many of you will know that we offer a number of additional services connected to the membership. So this is obviously on this understanding that most of you are great at what you do, but not always great in the business development, the marketing, the positioning of your firm. So we've got a pool of experts, some which we use in-house, some externally, to really try and assist you in a number of different ways, whether that be content creation, web or brand design. You can see behind me some things on content creation, but we now are working with a number of members across complete rebrand developments, from stationery to their website, and being able to utilize our expertise in positioning you in the best possible way to the market. I do have some other slides, which still don't seem to be showing. Yeah. So we also offer the social media management services. So Ross touched again earlier about the importance of social media. We realize many of you don't have the time, the inclination, or the expertise to be managing this in your own firm. So we have a team of experts where we can assist you in both building your following and obviously the content creation and the connections with other people. So obviously something which could be very, let's say, expensive if you were going to recruit someone internally, but we can handle it on a retainer basis to assist you in this process. And the final thing I would like to speak about, as well, you can see some examples of the websites we've created. I know Peggy's here today. And finally, we have IR Digital TV. So this was something we launched back in Berlin. Something which I think has been very interesting over recent years is the rising importance, let's say, of video marketing. I think they say now that nearly 2/3 of all web content is directed by video. And an equal number in recent studies show marketeers consider it their main strategic goal, let's say. Now, of course, the professional service is usually a little bit behind some of the sectors, but we really think this is a great opportunity for us to position ourselves as really an innovative leader in this field, to provide high-quality video content relating to professional services. So we launched this back in Berlin, and we did a series of interviews with members, which were a great success. We are now taking this to the next level, and we've got a new concept which is basically titled In Conversation With. And the idea of this is to bring two members together from two different jurisdictions to talk specifically about the workings of doing deals or cases or whatever it may be between the two countries. So it really gives a really valuable insight, I think, to clients in both jurisdictions who are interested in the different markets. But I also think it's very valuable for you to, let's say, forge closer relationships with other members where you can actually be proactive in marketing each other. So if you are working with a particular jurisdiction, to partner with an IR member to deliver this content to each other's clients, which brings you closer together and hopefully brings many more client opportunities. So I've gone through that quite quickly. There's a lot more happening behind the scenes, and you're welcome to, of course, come in to speak to Ross or myself or any of the team over the rest of today or tomorrow. I'm happy to talk to you about those in more detail. I think it just leaves me to say thank you for your ongoing support, your enthusiasm for the group. I was asked many times yesterday, and actually it's every event, and people say, what is the success of IR? And without it sounding too cliched or cheesy, it is you guys. What we tried to cultivate was a giving mentality, and that's really what this network's based on. And I think we have such a great community of people now who are actually really looking at what they can give rather than what they can take. And I think if we can keep that culture, then the future's very bright. Thank you.